Welcome to round 4 with Foretold Control. I'm going to keep this. This is a 5-lander. So there's a chance that we flood out. And if we're playing against a non-creature deck, then we just lose. But it looks like we're against a deck where forest usually means that creature removal will be relevant. This might be a mono green stompy deck. Oh, well, it still might be mono green stompy. So looks like they hit forest and drew that. Okay. I'm gonna play Drowned Catacomb. Leave up. Okay, so there's a good chance that I just flood out and die here. Which is kind of unfortunate. I don't know, maybe this wasn't a keep. I felt like it was because there's a good chance that we just... Because mulling is not great, especially in this deck. We have less lands than other control decks because of the ops, but we don't actually... I don't really love mulliganing in a control deck. I'm just going to say that, because card disadvantage becomes a much bigger issue than usual. Yeah, it looks like it is mono green stompy. This deck's pretty popular in the 2-man queues, at least. So I'm just going to play Drowned Catacomb, leave up Fatal Push plus Essence Scatter. In fact, I'm just going to Fatal Push this now. Play around Blossoming Defense. We have a lot of lands here. So we're going to need to find a Glimmer or some card advantage source, otherwise we're going to die. There's also a good chance that they have Galtas, multiple Galtas and vehicles. Like, I'm going to let Mana Dorks resolve, because most of my removal just... Yep, well, there's Metallurgic Summonings. It's just like, it's kind of scary to tap out, because they could just play a bunch of stuff and then Galta me, and Metallurgic Summonings isn't keeping up with that. But if I have nothing else going on, like, this is weird. They have 6 mana up. So now they're just trying to play around my removal, but I'm just gonna play Metallurgic Summonings. There's a good chance that their hand is like, I don't know, double Galta, double Blossoming Defense, maybe land, Galta, double Blossoming Defense. Like, there's a chance that if I get to untap with this Metallurgic Summonings, I'm in a great spot. Now, like, there's a land of War Elves, that doesn't matter. Territorial Allosaurus. It's like they have pretty much irrelevant cards. Guess I'll just play this As Foretold and stuff. I can Supreme Will. I'm not going to be doing much anyways. This Essence Scatter, like, I'll end up blocking that pretty quickly. And I wanted to get this As Foretold down just because it's a good card. I'm not attacking with the Land of War Elves smartly. Although, there's always the chance. Yeah, this is where this card is much better than Disallow, because I now get to get... Actually, I get to get Bontu's Last Reckoning, which is really good here, because 1, I'm not using all my mana anyways. 2, that lets me deal with this, and I guess I'll attack first. Lets me deal with all their stuff, unless they have Heroic Intervention, which I feel like isn't something I really want to play around. You get to deal with this. I think their hand has to be just Blossoming Defenses and Galtas, possibly more lands. Might have kept a land-heavy hand on the back of going Branch Walker into Steel Leaf Champion, and then it just didn't pan out. So I get to kill everything here. I have a Metallurgic Summonings in play. They're gonna have to get a lot of stuff into play, otherwise they're gonna lose. Alright, maybe they're a multicolor deck and they just never drew a white source. That's weird. Maybe their hand is just double white cards. Like, this seemed like it was a monocolor deck originally, but it could have multiple. Llanowar Envoy. This looks like it's a very budget deck that I wouldn't ever agree playing with that card. I'm just gonna let that resolve, because even though that does let them play double white cards, I'm just gonna Moment of Craving at end step. Killing it. Then I'm gonna Field of Ruin this, just to fix my mana a little bit. Might be incorrect, because that makes it harder to turn on Revolt for Fatal Pushes later on. and it shuffles my I'm going to shuffle my library anyways. Kind of want to draw a commit to memory here. Alright. Yeah, like, while bluffing is kind of nice with this deck, I have a Time Twister with commit to memory, so I just kind of play out my lands. And also I pull, and I can do like Glimmer chains and stuff, where I start drawing a bunch of lands, and then I fall behind on land drops that I should have had. I'm almost convinced now that they have Galta. Alright, we're drawing 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or 4, so, yeah. We're drawing a bunch of lands for the top 20. But I think they're... Yeah, apparently that using Field of Ruin was really smart because they're just running Sun Petal Grove and no white sources. This is super unfortunate. I've drawn my 11th land. We only have 11 lands left, so about 1 in every 3.5 cards. Adventurous Impulse, okay. They got the green cantrip. It's kind of nice that there's cantrips in Standard. Since I know they don't have any other white sources, I'm just gonna... Maybe they're just splashing for removal still. I think allowing Field of Ruin to hit Steelwave Champions and Territorial Allosauruses is less relevant than just completely cutting them off with white mana, where it could be more relevant. Like that 1/2/2 construct dealt them a lot of damage. I was really looking for some glimmers and stuff like that. This is unfortunate. I think their hand has to be just Blossoming Defenses and Galtas at this point. Although if they had Blossoming Defense, they probably would have saved their Llanowar Envoy. Just counter that. Makes me 2/2. And, I don't know. Let them cast their probably Galtas easier. Maybe their hand is just a bunch of Sealaways. I get to cast Glimmer for free. I'm gonna top both. With bounce. I don't really want to do that. While Consign to Oblivion is good, I think what I'm probably gonna end up doing is just pulling for 1 million and presenting lethal for next turn. This card's mostly in the deck because As Foretold lets me hold up a bunch of mana, so late game when we get to a situation where we're just both kind of sitting there not doing anything, yeah, they have to have Galta. Just like, I don't know what they could possibly have because they've missed land drops. Maybe they're just like, make a 11/11. Probably prompts a concession. Just pitch whatever land we draw. Evolving Wilds. Yep. I don't know. They saw super far into their deck there, so I don't know. I think it must just be Galtas. Possibly some Sealaways. I'm not really sure why they're splashing so greedily for Sealaway. Sun Petal Grove and maybe the other duel in Standard. I'm not seeing it. I don't think that seems good. That's not a problem Mono Green Stompy has. So these commit memories are good against Galtas. I think I want Bontus because you need to go big if you're going against potentially these Moment of Cravings. What I don't like. So this is probably against a Thrashing Brontodon, so I'll cut A As Foretold. Although I don't really love that. Yeah, no, the As Foretold's are great with Bontus. I'm gonna cut a Consign to Oblivion. Because while that can be good against something like Galta, it's just, eh. And I guess if I'm bringing in all these, I guess if, I don't want to, but I think I'm just going to end up cutting a bunch of Moment of Cravings. Nah. Now, what are these actually killing? They're just killing mana dorks, right? Yeah. That's a game where Metallurgic Summonings was much worse than a card like the Scarab God would have been. However, I feel like although this is a budget deck, and there's certainly improvements that could be made, like Evolving Wilds Defendant pools, and maybe better win conditions, I kind of like how we just turn off all our opponent's removal and keep this. Probably go Evolving Wilds on 1, Drowned Catacomb on 2. And like this hand is super good with As Foretold. There's a bunch of cheap stuff. Not a ton of lands. And like, we're probably not going to have time to get all these ops out. I mean, if our opponent does nothing, we will, but... Yeah, I guess they have a lot of green-white fixing. I'm just going to go get a Swamp here and then play another Evolving Wilds so I can push a Steel Leaf champion. Get an island off this and then play Drowned Catacombs into As Foretold. There's no reason to really try to like go crazy trying to play out these ops when... And this is the power of Fatal Push. You get an island here. And like if that had been Fetid Pools, we're in a way worse spot. Like I'm not even sure Fetid Pools is that much better than Evolving Wilds in this deck. Because we don't actually have that many Revolt enablers otherwise. Oops. Yeah, because like now we get to just play As Foretold, and if they can't do something super scary, we just get to go crazy casting ops and I guess more As Foretolds. But this hand could be anything, because we have 2 cantrips. We actually only have 1 card that does something here, but they just play like Territorial Allosaurus. I'm not another Steel Leaf champion. Maybe they're holding a Blossoming Defense. This is why I don't love Moment of Craving here, because they probably cut a bunch of mana dorks. If they were smart. I'm gonna opt. I don't think it's time to play As Foretold here. I'll just wait till it gets to 3. And I can... another fun thing is I can aggressively get rid of lands, because 2 As Foretold should be more than enough, and then I don't lose the card disadvantage drawing lands, while I get to also have way more mana that goes up every turn. And like, this is a pretty quick clock. For sure. But at the end of the day, like, I can kill that with a bunch of things. We still have 4 Bontus, 3 Fatal Pushes. Yeah, that dies to a Moment of Craving, so that's fine. Like, next turn when this is at 2, I can do a whole bunch of stuff. Glimmer of Envoy. I'll just Moment of Craving that one. Sure. I'm not really sure why they're running that. That's just a 3, like... Maybe they're, like, the Seal Away Splash is kind of greedy, but I don't know. I feel like at that point you just don't run those cards. I think I top both. I have time. Like, my constraint here isn't mana, it's I need more kill spells. Okay, Bontu's is pretty good. I don't want to use that quite yet. Okay, so there's Fatal Push. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by Moment of Craving this Glimmer Envoy. Okay, so that resolved. So now I have time to resolve this As Foretold. And I think I will... I don't think I'm going to kill it. Like, I still have a bunch of Evolving Wilds and stuff to kill the board. And I have a Bontu, so I'm going to cast the next turn with a ton of mana left up. But there's an Elflame Druid that just dies to Bontus. Like, their deck seems super low on threats. It's just like, if the Steel Leaf champ, that's not going to resolve. Like, Thrashing Prompt sounds good, but if you don't have it the turn you need it, this happens, and then they die. I'm just going to opt. I'll keep Commit to Memory. I can leave that up while I'm Bontu's ing. And, like, now they're toast, because... Like, sure, they could top deck perfectly, but... It's like, imagine these As Foretold has been lands. Like, what happens? Like, we don't get to do a bunch of those plays, we have those ops still stuck in hand, and, like, opt has been super good, whereas the control decks normally just have islands. And I'm just gonna Glimmer here, because I'll feel kind of bad if they have Naturalize, but... bottom of Fate... I think I will top with Fatal Push. Like, that's... I doubt they have Planeswalker threats. Now I get to hold up Commit. It's Essence Scatter, a bunch of Fatal Pushes on both turns. And I built the decks that way can utilize As Foretold really well. With all the opposite Fatal Pushes, like on one, it lets me like filter through these super fast and do stuff with Evolving Wilds. It's pretty cute. And like, we don't flood out. Look, we drew 4 lands. And now I get to untap, play Metallurgic Summonings, and the game ends. Like, if I hadn't killed that, Thrashing Prompt would probably still win because our opponent drew pretty poorly, but... cast Metallurgic Summonings. I guess I'll cast an As Foretold with 3 counters, just because I have nothing else to do with the mana. Now in their turn, I'm holding up Double Commit and Essence Scatter, and then I can Fatal Push on my turn if something somehow slips through, but they have so few cards. And now I'm getting to have 1,000,000 mana. They're never resolving anything again. That's relevant. I can just Fatal Push whatever it is, or just block with Metallurgic Summonings tokens. At some point, because I have so much mana, I'm probably just going to end up popping the Metallurgic Summonings once I've gone crazy. I don't know, like, I don't think they have outs. Like, what are the encounterbles in Standard that they could be playing? Prowling Serpentard, maybe? I'll let them resolve. I'll just counter whatever they get, and if they get a land, I'm fine with that. Like, maybe I should be more aggressive with, like, they just cycled. I don't know, like, having Evolving Wilds instead of Fetid Pools probably won me this game because I was able to kill the Stillleaf champion so efficiently. There's a Karn. That would be scary, but I'm kind of surprised they're running a Planeswalker. Their deck seems all over the place. I don't really understand. Like, I thought it was a budget deck based on the, what's it called? Lateral Envoys. But then they're running the most expensive card in Standard. So, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong about that. I get to cast another Metallurgic Summonings. And I would Memory, but, like, we just have so much more stuff than our opponent that there's no reason to risk drawing horribly and losing. Like, when you get in a situation where you're super far ahead, you have to ask, how do I lose this game? And the answer to that in this game is my opponent. The way I lose this game is I cast Memory and then draw into horrible draws, and our opponent scoops it up. See you guys in round number